welcome everybody. Especially thank you, Bindaji, for being here with us. We're very fortunate, and sort of resuming a normal schedule here again after that retreat. The recordings from which will take a little bit of time because of editing, but will get posted on YouTube and other places. So we'll keep you informed on that if people are waiting for those. So also, I just want to go ahead and thank you, Prakash, for being part of this and making it work even better for all of us. So 9th class on Aparokshanubhuti with Bindaji. The replays on the prior 8 classes and other classes, many other classes are available here, but even more are available over on YouTube channel called Advaita Retold. However, still at this point, most of this year's open discussions, such as on Sundays, are only found here yet. They haven't been edited and moved over. So again, we'll have a class here today, and similarly at 8:30 p.m. on Friday, and then we'll have the usual open discussion for people to bring forth more wide-ranging Advaita questions to Bindaji. We'll turn off hand raising and chat here in a minute, but that'll open up after the lecture from Bindaji, and we can ask questions for about a half hour afterwards. So thank you all for coming together and allowing us to have a community that can take all this in together and benefit. So unless you have something else I know what else I want. Sorry. It's been a while since we've been in the regular mode. There either is or will be a document posted in the chat. It's entirely in Sanskrit. It is the Aparokshanubhuti with a commentary. There is not an English translated commentary available at this time. If you, in the world, not just in this room. And pinned up above is an English translation of Aparokshanubhuti with, there's a little bit of discussion on this word and that word, but there's not actually a commentary. That's in fact what Bindaji is presenting to us with his additional commentary. And I guess I should actually call all these sub-commentaries. So that's what those documents are. And unless you have anything to add, Prakash, let's turn it over to Bindaji. And again, thank you everyone for being here.
Yeah, just a note about the YouTube channel, Advaita Retold, is also posted in the chat. If you want to catch up on the replays. Over to you, Binduji.
Thank you, Atmisha. Thank you, Prakash. Welcome all for the 9th episode of Aparokshanubhuti. नमो ब्रह्मादिभ्यो वर्म विद्या संप्रदाय कर्तृभ्यो वंशीर्षिभ्यो महद्भ्यो नमो गुरुभ्यः श्रुति स्मृति पुराणानाम् आलयम् करुणालयम् नमामि भगवत्पादम् शङ्करम् लोकशङ्करम् शङ्करम् शङ्कराचार्यम् केशवम् बादरायणम् सूत्रभाष्यकृतौ वन्दे भगवन्तौ पुनः पुनः ईश्वरो गुरुरात्मेति मूर्तिभेदविभागिने व्योमवत् व्याप्तदेहाय दक्षिणामूर्तये नमः. अपरोक्षानुभूति. श्रीहरिम् परमानन्दम् उपदेष्टारमीश्वरम् व्यापकम् सर्वलोकानाम् कारणम् तम् नमाम्यहम्. In the last episode, 8th one, we were discussing what is vichara, means inquiry. How we should be doing the inquiry. It is where we are in the 14th, 13th and 14th shloka we have completed. Ajnana prabhavam sarvam jnanena praviliyate sankalpa vipita karta vichara soyam idrishaha. So this should be the way in which the inquiry into the Atma or Brahman should be done. What is that? Ajnana prabhavam sarvam. It is the effect of ignorance. All this what we are experiencing as multitude. jnānena praviliyate. By the right knowledge, or the knowledge which is resolving all these doubts and wrong apprehension, etc. When that is being removed and when the real knowledge shines, this products of ajnana, or the ignorance, which is the reason for the world to be seen as multitude, as separate, previliyate, that will be completely dissolved or disappearing. Sankalpa vivida, and therefore, along with that, the thoughts, sankalpa, vivida, various thoughts based on the multitude also will dissolve. Like I am the doer, this, or I am the enjoyer, the world is object of enjoyment. All these things will be the part of sankalpa, or the sankalpa pravali. They will be disappearing, and this is the type of vichara one should pursue for establishing the knowledge. Now we'll move to the 15th verse. Edayor upadanam ekam sūkṣmam sadavyayam yadaiva mridghadādīnām vichāras soyam idrishaha. So yadaiva, yatha, iva, yatha, just as. Ghadādīnām, like the pot, etc. For that, for the pot, etc. Upadanam means material, or the material cause for the gadadi, or the pot, etc. Same way, the etayo in this verse is indicating two aspects. Etayo means these two. What are these two? These two are being referred from the previous verse where Ajnana Prabhava is the cause for the world to be as multitude, as the sarvam, that is the Ajnana is the cause for it. Same way, Sankalpa Vivida, the thoughts which are multitude related to the multitude of the world nature. These thoughts as well as the ignorance which is the root cause for the multitude. These two, Upadanam, the material is ekam. There is only one. That is sūkṣmam avyayam and sat bhavati, sat asti iti. Soyam idrishaha. Soyam vicharas idrishaha. So what is that here we are talking about? There is a material cause for the pot, which is mud. Same way, there is only one. Sat. No, don't call it as Brahman or anything else, Atma or etc. Just as existence. Existence is the one reality and it is unchanging, avyayam. Because existence doesn't have multiple nature. Existence is simple existence, where whatever may be the condition in which whatever material exists in them, there is only one existence. So in that case, what happens is that existence is the reason why we are experiencing the multitude in thoughts as well as the world as a multitude. And these appear to be the cause. The existence, when it is not understood properly, is seen as multitude because of the dependency of the name and forms in the existence. So that is what the right vichara or the right method of inquiry into the world will, if once done properly, will result into everything is depending upon the existence. The existence is the primordial material on which we are superimposing the names and forms. Therefore, the multitude is being there. And when the multitude is there in the world, we also feel that there are multiple thoughts and expressions and experiences for the world of objects. This is the way in which one should do the inquiry into the nature of the reality. Now we go to the Shankara, the Vichara, the Tika of Vidyaranya. Atha upadanam kimasti ityasya nirnayam aha etayoho iti. Now the determination, if we do for the nirnayam, determination, kimasti, what is the material cause, upadanam? If that is the question, the answer is etayo. Means etayo ajnana sankalpayoho yat upadanam. So etayoho means etayo ajnana sankalpayoho iti. So there etayo is standing for ajnana and sankalpa, means the ignorance and volition or thoughts of sankalpa. Yat upadanam is the material cause for the whatever it is. Utpatti sthiti nashaya karana. And not only for the appearance of the multitude and the volition, utpatti sthiti nashaya karana. Also the reason or the cause for origin, sustenance and dissolution of names and forms. But Sat, what is the root or the material cause, is not undergoing any change. So when we take it that pot and the lamp or the doll, etc., the name and form of the doll and the pot and the lamp, etc., when it is resolved, you will find that everything is nothing but mud. The mud is the one which became the pot, mud is the one which became the lamp, one is the one which became the doll, etc. Same way, here it is the Sat, which is now appearing in the form of the world of objects, which is in multitude in nature. And when it is there in the multitude nature, we are also forming the volition or the thought process into the multitude with good, bad and other activities of based on the qualities of the objects. Tadatu Sat Kalatraya Abhadyam Brahma Eva Na Anyadityartaha. That Sat, which has been mentioned earlier in the earlier this thing, is indeed Sat. And that what is Sat? Kalatraya Abhadyam. Kalatraya means all the three times, periods of time, that is present, past and future. Existence never undergoes any change in all the three states of present, past and future. So therefore Sat is that. And the other name for Sat is Brahma, which is none other than that the Brahma alone. Therefore Sat Eva, Sateva Somya Idamagra Asid. That is the one which we studied in the Chandogya Upanishad. That Sat is being referred here. Atha Eva Adhisthana Ajnana Nirvatya Ajnana Karyatvena Mithyabhutam Api Jagat. Now, Ataha therefore, or thus, even though the world Jagat is Ajnana Karyatvena Mithyabhutam, due to the ignorance, Mithyabhutam means empirically unreal, but ultimately, empirically real and ultimately unreal. That means in reality, we are seeing changes. Therefore, they are unreal. In the sense, the world, there is a reality for the world. But the reality we do not see. We cannot see the reality of the world, but we see the names and forms which are changing in nature. Therefore, Adhisthana is the Sat, in which the Ajnana Karyatvena, but due to the ignorance, when we do not know the Adhisthana or the substratum of the reality of the world, we are treating or transacting with the unreal aspect of the reality, which is the names and forms. The names and forms keep on changing because they have got the existence, sustenance and dissolution. Therefore, they are changing in nature. And therefore, the change is felt on a changeless substratum. That is, the changeless substratum is empirically real, which is called the Sat. And it is not, the Brahman is the substratum. Yavat jnana udayam rajju sarpadivat samsara bhaya vyavahara kshamam bhavati. Yavat means until such time. Jnana udayam. We do not get the conviction due to the knowledge or the dawn of the true knowledge, that is Satyajnanam. We do not know the reality of the Mithya world. Just as Rajju Sarpadivats, like the snake and the rope. The rope, when it is not understood, can appear as a snake. Therefore, we are experiencing the nature of world as what it is seen as names and objects. The names and objects are not real, but what is the reality of the world is not known. Therefore, we transact with the names and forms of the world. That is what is called Rajju Sarpadivat. And that is Samsara Bhaya Vyavahara Kshamam. Kshamam means functionally possible. Vyavahara Kshamam means functionally that is capable of what? Bhaya and samsara. Samsara means worldly engagement. The transaction, what we call it as. And from the samsara is the bhaya on, because bhaya is only a gauna prayoga or the sublative way of using it or getting all means their icha, all those, samsara bhaya. So, when we are having the transactional experiences of the world, which is giving us the engagement in the multitude of the world, even though engagement is through the names and form, nama rupa, and it is non-understanding the nature of world. The world per se is not creating either bhaya or samsara. Just as the rope, which is not creating the bhaya, but the appearance of snake on it is the cause for the bhaya or the fear. Same way, the world by itself, because it is the nature of the knowledge or the awareness itself. But in that, when we do not know the substratum, Brahman or the Sat, then the name and form becomes the transactional reality like the snake. That is the one which is giving us the fear, etc. or the transactional capability. Brahmana Sattve Hetuhu Avyayam iti. If the reason for Brahman's true existence is given in the word Avyayam, meaning unchanging and decaying. That is, Avyayam means Apakshaya Rahitam. The Brahman which we are now referring to is Apakshaya Rahitam. Apakshaya means decay or change. We can also accept it as change. Anena etat purva bhuta api janmadi vikaraha nirastaha nashaha cha nirastaha. Anena, by this acceptance that Brahman is Avyayam, which is Apakshaya or undecaying or unchanging, etat purva bhuta api, even though all modifications like birth, change, destruction, etc., which precedes this, that in the Brahman, janmadi vikaraha nirastaha. Therefore, nashacha nirasta. Therefore, destruction is not for the substratum, but the superimposition which we are doing by the fame of names and forms. So, therefore, the shat vikaraha rehite hetu ekam. Without the shat vikaraha, which is the janma, asti, vriddhi, apakshaya, nasha, like all the 6 modes of formation, from the creation to existence to sustenance, growth, decay and death. All these forms of modes of transition or changes which we are seeing in the world of objects, they are not real. And when they are not real, what remains is the one which is in one without a second. Ekameva dvitiyam Brahma. That is the one which is being read. Sajadiyadi Veda shunyam tadrisham kuto na drishyate tatra aha sūkṣma iti. Avyayam apakshaya rehitam. That is avyayam, Brahman or the Sat is considered as avyayam in this statement. So avyayam means apakshaya rehitam. Apakshaya means decay or changing. So when it is not having a decay or changing, that is what is called avyayam. What does it mean? Anena edat purva bhuta api janmati vikara nirasta. So by saying apakshayaritam, janma adi vikara nirasta. There is no birth, change or destruction or decay or anything of that thing. That is therefore Brahman is the one which is having no destruction. So when this being told, and it is also Shadbhava Vikara Rahita. What is the Shadbhava Vikara? The Shadbhava Vikara is that the 6 forms of changes, that is creation, existence, growth, sustenance, decay and death. This, when it is being told, this is the 6 forms of Vikara, means changes which is seen in the world of objects. So that is, therefore, that is Ekam. There is one without that. Now the question will come, if that is the case, Sajadiyadi Veda Shunyam Tadrisham Kuto Na Drishyate. Sajadiya means in the same category. For example, one coconut tree to another coconut tree, this is a Sajadiya Veda, or difference between one tree to another tree. Vijadiya Veda is from coconut tree to apple tree or a mango tree. That is Vijadiya. And Swagata Veda. In the tree itself, you have the parts like the leaves, the branches, the flower, the fruits, etc. So Sajadiya Adi means etc., which includes the Sajadiya, Vijadiya, Swagata Veda Shunyam. Without this, Sadrisham Kuto Na Drishyate. Where do we find such a object where these things are not seen? For that tatra aha sūkṣma iti. So therefore, the word sūkṣma is indicated for Brahman as ekam and sūkṣma. Now sūkṣma is being explained by Vidyaranya as mano vagadi indriya agocharam. Mano vak means mind and the words. Adi indriya means like that all the 5 sense organs. Agocharam means incapable of apprehension by these sense organs. Tesham pravritti nimitta jadi kriya adi shunyatvad ityartah. Tesham pravritti nimitta. Then it lacks all acts of attributions like action, motion, birth, etc. These attributions also do not happen in that. There is shunyatvad, means it is not there in the Brahman. Therefore, it is mano vakadi agocharam, indriya agocharam. So it is not possible for the indriyas to apprehend Brahma by the sense organs. Brahmana upadanatve drishtantam aha yathaiva iti. So, to explain Brahman as a material cause, a comparison is given yathaiva. Yathaiva means just as. How is Brahma is the material cause? Yatha mrid ghadadinam upadanam tada. Just as mud is the ghadadinam, means like the pot, etc., is the material cause for the pot, etc. Mud is the, clay is the material cause. Tata, just as the same way, the material cause where the world is seen as the multitude. What is the material cause for the multitude? That is Brahman, or the Sat, which is referred in the sloka as the Sateva. So, evam prakarena karya karana bheda nama matram iti sūcita. Just as here, by saying Brahman, Ekam and Sūkṣma, how can it be the cause for the multitude of the world with the names and forms? Because names and forms are within the realms of the Indriya Gocharam, or the possible for the sense organs to grasp it. It is not Ekam, it is not one, it is in multitude. It is possible for the sense organs to see. But here it is saying Sūkṣmam and Ekam. That means it is subtle, incapable for the sense organs to grasp, and there is only one. So here is the difference between the two. The Sat, the existence, which is the nature of Brahman, is the material cause. And that material cause is the one which is Ekam and Sūkṣma, which is, there is only one existence. In that existence is the one which is we are seeing as multitude, just as the clay itself is seen as multitude, as pot, doll, lamp, etc., etc. Same way, the same existence, which is the nature of Brahman, and it cannot be perceived through the Indriyas, is the one which is becoming the material cause for the multitude in the world, where in the form of names and forms we are experiencing. Atmisha, whenever I am not able to be heard, please unmute yourself and tell immediately, okay? So that I don't lose time.
I will. I'm not sure that you'll see it because I was doing that before, but I will immediately do that.
Yeah, please. So when this is being told, we have to now do vicharam idrishaha. This is the way in which the vichara or the enquiry has to be done. How does the clay, which doesn't have a name and form, as lamp, doll, or or a pot, is now with definitive names like the pot, the doll, and the lamp, etc. And the lamp, the doll, and the pot has got utilitarian value, artha kriya karito. That is utilitarian value. With the pot, we have transaction possible. We can store things in the pot, or we can use it for cooking, we can use it for bringing liquid or milk or water, etc. The lamp is used for lighting lamps and for the purpose of light, etc. Dolls are made for using, for it is for either for, for prayer or for playing, or it can be anything. These activities which are attributed into the individual doll, lamp, etc. is not possible in the substratum clay, which is a lump, in the form of a lump. So, where did this potentiality for the utility come into existence in the objects, which is there in the name of pot, etc., which is not seen in the mud, is because the potential for the utility is due to the shape and the name which the pot, the clay, lump of clay accepts in itself. It is not accepting it outside. that shape and the name is attributed onto the lump of clay, and when it is attributed onto the lump of clay, it becomes a pot. And when it becomes a pot, the pot has got now a name and a shape, Nama Rupa. And not only Nama Rupa, we also have the potency for transaction for it, Artha Kriya Karitva. The same way, the Sat, which is not within the realm of Indriyas or the sense organs, when they attribute in the existence, Sat means existence. In the existence, when it attributes, self-attributes, it is not the attribution is done by something else outside. It is self-attributing itself to take the shape of the world. And we have multiple objects in the world with multiple names and forms, and we have utilitarian value for each one of them. The aspect of the utilitarian value of the world or the transactional value of the world cannot be seen in the existence. But we all know, unless the object of the transaction in the world is existing, we cannot do any transaction. For example, let us say a table or a tree or a mountain or a stream of water, whatever may be that. All of them need to be existing for us to do the transaction. But existence in them is not for the sense organs to find it. But we know that unless the existence is there in them, the transaction is not possible. That is why the reason when we say that this thought process by which we do this inquiry, when the comparison between the pot and the mud, the world and the existence, we have to do the inquiry in such a way that what is the things which we should accept and what are the things which are not to be accepted, because no example is perfect match for the exemplified. So, Rama Ravanayor Yuddham Rama Ravanayor Iva. When we say that there is only one Rama and Ravana Yuddha which are taken, the fight which are taken place, to give an example, there is no other example which we can give the fight between Rama and Ravana. So they say that the example is only that one. Same way, here for Brahman, there is no example which we can give. But when we use the example of pot and the lump of clay, or any other examples, when we have to use only certain aspect of it. This aspect is what to be thought about, and not like the other philosophies where they extend it beyond the examples purview to deny the example. So they say that, when we say rope and the snake, they say the snake has to be pre-existing. It is from where did the memory of the snake come from? All those questions that is not the criteria of the example. The example is superimposition or adhyasa. Non-apprehension of the rope is the reason why we are having the snake. Same way, the non-apprehension of the lump of clay as a pot makes us feel that the pot is real for transaction purpose, whereas the lump of clay is not potentially capable of doing the transaction. Now in the Satkaryavada, which is accepted by the Sankhya, they say that the shape and the name of the pot is present in the lump of clay, but it is not expressed or visible. Therefore, it is to be assumed that it is embedded in it. But Advaita doesn't accept that type of an philosophy here. It is say that there is nothing called embedded or this thing. What it is there is that pot, the mud itself is the pot. There is no difference between the pot and the mud. Why there is no difference between the pot and the mud? Because if you remove the mud from the pot's existence is null and void. Therefore, in reality, what we call it as a pot is nothing but mud. But we use it for transactional purpose with the name and the form. That is why we have the transaction. And the transaction is not possible in the mud, even though we are doing the transaction with the mud only. If the mud is not there, the pot will not exist. Same way, existence which is not for the sense organs is not possible for name and form. But the name and form of the world comes, and that what we appear as the name and form is nothing but the same Brahman or Atman. So the world is, when we call it as mithya, we are not denying the existence in the world. Please understand this very clearly. We are not denying, we are not saying the world is unreal. The world is real because it is with existence the world is here. Reality means existence. If you remove the existence, the name and the form cannot exist. So the name and the form of the objects of the world is what is called mithya. Not the world, the material or the upadana karanam of the world. The upadana karanam of the world or the material cause of the world is nothing but existence. That is why we have to be very clear when see there is a lot of bad name for Advaita, saying Advaita is a mithyavada, a mayavada, etc. We are talking about mithya and mayavada, which people do not understand it properly. Unless we understand Advaita properly, we will be confused and we will not be able to give answer to the people who are putting a blame on us. As Advaitins, we are saying world is mithya means the name and the form of the world is unreal because they keep changing. The same object has got a birth, sustenance and dissolution. But the existence, the substratum on which it is existing or the reason why it is existing is not going through any changes of creation, sustenance and dissolution, and that aspect of the world is not for the sense organs to grasp. Therefore, what is being grasped as the sense organs, as the name and the form, is the reason why we say the world is unreal, because the name and form is unreal, not the material cause or the substratum which is sat. Therefore, we have to be comparing between these two very, very clearly. This is why when Advaita is being termed as Mithyavada or Mayavada, unless we know that this answer to be given, now for example, let us ask that, is the name and form permanent? They are not permanent. They keep changing because they are all materials which are appearing from existence, in existence. I won't say in from existence, man. Also, you may think that it is coming out of existence. No. In existence, we are giving name and form like lump of clay. In that, when we give the name and form, it becomes a pot. Same way, in existence, when we give the name and form, it becomes object of the world. That is why, evam prakarena karya karana bheda nama matram iti sūcitam. It's only for the name, that is why the world is this thing. But as a material cause, there is no difference between all products of the world. The world is, the objects in the world is, you are, I am. Everything is because there is existence in everything, and anasyudam means without a gap. There is no place where you can put your finger and say there is no existence here. Even then, this The moment you say this to even indicate a place, it is as good as you cannot say this without existence being present there. So this place has no existence is a word which is self, wrong. Because the moment that you say the word this, a common word, what we call sarvanama, that when we use it, it is indicating to something where existence is pre-existing, and on that, when you say there is no existence, you are contradicting yourself. This is why we say Shunyavada is not a valid statement, unless they define the Shunya is not the Shunya of that, absence of things, but at the same time, absence of the specifics. In that case, Shunya is right. But absence of everything, abhava, atyanta abhava, or total absence is not possible because that never exists in any place, atyanta abhava. Now, there are examples for atyanta abhava by using words which is like, the flower of the sky or the horns of the hare or horns of a horse. When we say that, we are using two things which are existing, combining them together to make a atyanta abhava or absolute non-existence, because horses will not have horns. So when I say horn, there is no horns for a horse or a hare or a rabbit. It is by using two things. Rabbit is existing, horns are existing. But when I couple them together, then I can create saying that the horns of a rabbit, that will never exist because rabbits do not have horns. So that is an example given for atyanta abhava. Atyanta abhava doesn't mean shunyata. There is a difference between the parts of them are existing. When you combine them together, you are bringing a term called shunyata. But shunyata is absolute shunyata can never exist because the one who is observing the shunyata has to be present there to say that there is shunyata. Therefore, shunyata is observable. That means there is no shunyata because the observer is present to deny this shunyata. The next shloka is that aham ekopi sūkṣmascha jñātā sākṣī sadavyayaha tadaham na atra sandehaha vichara soyam idrishaha. Now here, this is the last shloka on the vichara, where it says that aham ekaha api, even though I am one only, not with a second, sūkṣmascha, this aham, what I am referring to, is ekaha, and sūkṣma means I cannot know myself by any other sense organs. Jñātā sākṣī sat avyayaha. There is jñātā, knower, sākṣī, witness, sat, existence, avyayaha means undecaying, unchanging. I can say I am the knower. Knower of what? Knower of everything. Knower of myself and the world. Therefore, I am the sākṣī. I am the witness to even the feeling of I amness. That I know that I am is also a aspect in my knowledge. Therefore, for the knower, I can say that I am also the witness for even my own existence. And that is the existence in nature. So I know my existence. Therefore, I am also the witness of existence. I am also the knower of the existence. And that has never undergone a change ever since, whether I am in the waking, dream or deep sleep, whether a young, middle-aged or old, at all 3 points of time, all phases in Deshakala Vastu Parichinna. I mean, that way I am not conditioned by any of these things. That is the space, time or objects. I am the knower beyond the known or the knower. I am the witness beyond the known and the knower. I am the existence and therefore unchanging. And there is no doubt on that. I have no doubt in these aspects of my true nature. So I am that. I am that means here tad. Tad means that Brahman, which has been referred in the earlier Vichara slokas. I am that one without a second, sūkṣma. There is no doubt for me that that is my true nature. And the enquiry has to be in this nature. That is the Vichara Soyam Idrishaha. So here Vidyaranya is saying, Nanu yadyapi karyakarana bedaha vācārambana matrastaha api jīva brahmanor bedoho vāstavaha syad iti āsankya aha aham iti. There is an objection which is being raised now here. Even if the distinction between the cause and the effect is only nominal, that is as a matter of speech or vācārambana matra, might not the distinction between the jīva and brahmana be real? Is it not real? That's the question. Yadyapi. Nanu yadyapi means is the objection. Karya karana veda. The cause and the effect. Is the distinction between the cause and the effect. You say that vācārambana matra, it's only for the matter of speech. That is, the pot is the cause, the pot is the effect, the mud is the cause. Same way, Brahman is the cause, material cause for the world. So, or Brahman is the cause and Jīva is the effect. So all this Jīva Brahma Vedaha, which is being propounded by dualists in the dualistic philosophy. Vāstavaha syat iti āsanga. Can there be no distinction? Iti is āsanga aha aham iti. That aham iti. What is the aham iti? Atra yat iti adhyaharya tata cha ayam artaha. Here the term yat, in the sloka is an implied. It is not referred there. It's an implied meaning as follows. What is that? Yata aham pratyaha vedya api ekaha sajatiyadi veda shunyaha. Yata aham pratyaha. Because there is one who is experiencing the form of I as consciousness. Vedya api ekaha. That I experience of every one of us is aham pratyaya, is the consciousness. Even though the word aham is used, aham pratyaya, the aham pratyaya is used by everyone. You, me, and every person in the world, even the animals have the feeling of the self. Aham pratyaya, that self, the feeling of the self. Sajatiyadi veda shunyaha. In sajatiyadi, which I explained in the last sloka, there is no difference between sajadiya, vijadiya, swagata veda in the aham. This consciousness or this awareness of the self in me, in you, in everyone, including the animals, the birds, and etc., do not have distinctions like sajadiya, vijadiya, swagata, means category within the same kind, different kind, vijadiya, and swagata, internal difference like the trees, the branches, etc. Manushya matre api aham buddhehe ekatva pratyeha iti artaha. Manushya matre, in the sense of I, aham buddhehe. This sense of I, ekatva pratitihi. Ekatva pratiti, in each one of us, the pratiti or the feeling of I, or the sense of I, in every living being is one and the same. Therefore, there is no multitude. Therefore, which is being, is that aham jīva brahma aikya is what is being indicated. Cha punah sūkṣma indriya agocharaha punar jñātā ahankara adi prakāsatvena cetana iti artha. Punah sūkṣma indriya gocharaha, for the sense organ, beyond the reach of sense, indriya agocharaha. Indriya agochara means beyond the reach of senses. This subtle sūkṣma feeling, that feeling of I, is not sensible for us or perceivable by us, or is not a object of perception. Therefore, it is indriya agochara, and since it is not perceivable or perception for the indriyas, it is sūkṣmaha. Punaha means again, jñātā is a knower. That I is the knower in all of us. On all living beings, the word I is the knower, or the consciousness, or the conscious entity in all of us, with which we are all saying, I know, I am the knower. All these sentences are coming from that association with the I. Ahankara adi prakāsatvena cetana iti artavya. The cetana, or the conscious illumination, prakāsatvena, the illumination of the existence or the consciousness in all of us, which includes the illumination of the ahankara. Because I am the knower of my ahankara also. My ego is known to me. Therefore, all mental modifications of ahankara, mano, buddhi, ahankara, chitta, all these modifications of the mind is known to me. Therefore, I am the knower. Jñātā. Therefore, I am the jñātā, or the knower of the also you. Tat sākṣī. Tata sākṣī sākṣāt indriyartha sannikarsham vina eva ikshate pasyati pratyakshati ityadi. And iti sākṣī nirvikaraha ityartaha. That is, tataha, just as I am a jñātā, sākṣī. So these are the two words used in the shloka. So what is sākṣī? Sākṣāt indriyartha sannikarshanam vina eva ikshate. Which means, sākṣāt means direct, without any contact of the indriya artha sannikarshanam. Indriya means sense organs. Artha means objects for indriyas, or the objects for the sense organs. Sannikarshanam means contact. Vina means without. Eva, alone or even without. Ikshate means senses. That is why sākṣāt means the word sākṣāt, which we will know, sākṣāt, yat sākṣāt aparokshat Brahma. In the Brihadaranya Upanishads also it comes. So please understand the word. What does it mean, sākṣāt? It is the sensation or the sensing of the self, which is not possible for me to use my sense organs. At the same time, it is perceivable or it is known to me. Or pasyati, pratyakshati, or, pratyaksha means directly visible. This direct knowledge of I for myself is not through sense organs. I exist, or I am, by every one of the living beings in the world, is the one which becomes the witness. That it witnesses what? From my own existence to everything in the world is perceived by it directly or indirectly. The I is without sense organs, but everything other than the I, the self, including the ego I, everything is perceived through or witnessed as objects in the light of that. Therefore, pashyati, pratyakshati means it is seeing or knowing and realizes directly through even with the absence of sense organs. Iti sākṣī. Therefore, that is why it is sākṣī. Nirvikaraha. Nirvikara means changeless. Ityartaha. That is the meaning what the sākṣī means. Sākṣī means one which observes when changes are taking place, but it itself doesn't change. The changes are observed by the changeless. Therefore, the sākṣī is the changeless. I am the one which is observing the changes. While changes are observing, including my ego and the body and the sense organs and the world, in me, the I or the knower or the witness, there is no changes. Therefore, I am the changeless. Atha eva sat avyayaha san cha asau avyayaha cha. So that sadavyayaha is being now broken up by the samasa. San cha asau avyayaha cha. Hence, he is both existent, sat, sun, and avyayaha, imperishable, avyayaha cha. It is both existence and imperishable or non-decaying or undecaying, unchangeable. Vinasha apakshaya upalakshita sarva vikara shunyaha. Sarva vikara shunyaha means free from all modifications. What are the modifications? Such as destruction, decay, and diminution, etc. Vinasha, destruction. Apakshaya is decay. Upalakshita means it includes everything in between. So, all the forms of changes, modifications, are being negated by saying that avyayaha means vinasharehita. Yasmat evam buddhaha aham, because I know myself as that nature which doesn't have. Yasmat vedya. So when I know myself as the one without change and directly perceived self-awareness in the form of sākṣī, jñātā, this is that nature of which my true nature. Tat satyajnānādi lakshanam brahma. That, the tat, the word is being now defined as satyajnāna anantam. That's in the Taittiriya we learned that. Satyajnānādi lakshanam. Adi lakshanam means satyajnānam, satyam jnanam, anandam, anandam, adi, all of them. Lakshanam means indicative of Brahman. Brahma cannot be defined because it is indriya agochara. There is no way in which we can define and include Brahma in any of the definitions. So the definitions are only indicative where all the indicative words should apply. The absence of one indicate lakshana will not make it eligible for Brahman. Therefore, it has to be Satya, it has to be Jnana, it has to be Ananta, it has to be Ananda. All these things should be applicable simultaneously. It has to be Satya, at the same time Jnana. It has to be Jnana and Ananta, at the same time Satya. Like that, it has to be applied. Then only the Lakshana will be applicable to Brahma. And that is indicated by the word Tat. Tad aham. Atra sandehaha nasti ityartaha. Sandehaha means I have no doubt on myself. The nature of my true nature is Satyajnanam Anandam, is the one which has to be inquired about. And if you inquire it in this way, there will not be any doubt for yourself, and your nididhyasana or nischayatmigadhi, the way in which you know and understand yourself, will be free from all defects of samshaya, ajnana samshaya viparya. Therefore, saha ayam idrishaha vichara iti. That saha ayam, that is my nature, is the enquiry to be done in this fashion. These are the way in which now the slokas is vichara soyam idrishaha. We went through the 6 slokas, which is the methods in which enquiry has to be done, has been culminated in the self-enquiry of my own nature. So when it is being concluded here, with the method of enquiry should culminate undoubtedly in your true nature as you are the Brahman. Aham Brahmasmi should be your conviction through which you will be arriving at if you do the proper enquiry. Now the question, the next verses onwards, is giving the definitions of ajnana. What can be the impediments in the vichara which will stop you from knowing your true nature? That is being taken up from the 17th verse onwards, which we will discuss on Friday. So I'll stop here. We can take question answer session for the remaining period. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om. Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om. Thank you. Dhanyavada.
Thank you, Bindaji. I see Karen's already ready to come up. Thank you, Bindaji. That was very, very, very clear and very lovely. And just so people in the listening panel know, we have just a little while for questions. So if you do have one, don't wait till the last moment when hand raising might already be closed, but come on up. And just to remind people, because a number of people have come in since the beginning of the room and might depart, the English translation's above, but this is a text for which there is not actually any sub-commentary available in English. It's in Sanskrit in the chat, but essentially this class is walking us through that sub-commentary and Bindaji's own view on the text. So please feel free to come up and discuss this class specifically, or the earlier classes on Aparokshanubhuti, and know that on Sunday at the same time, 8:30 p.m. IST, 11 a.m. Eastern, there's a more general, and anyone is welcome to come up and discuss anything they'd like to with Bindaji. Thank you so much. I saw Karen raise her hand, but I don't see her.
Yeah, Karen and Bhagat are there. Karen and Bhagat are there.
Oh, okay, good. Good. That's just my phone. Then go ahead, Karen. Glad to have you with us again.
Thank you. Namaste, everyone. Namaste, Bindaji.
Namaste.
I'm a little bit confused about the mud and shunyata and the pot and the existence and reality. Those 4 points altogether. If the senses, if it is something, the mud is the part that gives us the reality, what is perceivable by the senses, right?
Mud is what is being perceived all through. Even when you are perceiving pot or the doll, you are perceiving mud only.
Yes. But it only can perceive by form. So if the mud has no form, it cannot be perceived, right?
Mud, as a mud, lump of clay, you may say lump is the form. But here we are not taking the example to that extent. We are taking the example only between the cause for the pot, and the pot is not separate from the cause. That means karana vyatirekena karyam nasti. That means the pot cannot exist without the mud. Therefore, the pot is indeed the cause, which is the mud.
So
But
if I compare that with a snake and rope, so the mud is then the rope and the pot is the snake, right?
yes.
Okay. Then I got it. When you mentioned jñātā, you have to be there and then you're observing, so it cannot be existing. If the only way to perceive existence is through the senses, through object and form, and if I perceive existence through the senses, but I know at the other end of the world, somebody has told me there is Africa, South Africa, but I've never been, I haven't sensed it. I know I can think about it in a form, like Africa, if somebody tells me stories about it and things like that. Does that make that, is that a reality, or is it the seed that can be experienced in the mud? It's like a seed in the mud.
Okay. Now, when somebody says South Africa, either it must be a thing which is existing or an imagination which is existing in his ideation or mentation.
Mm-hmm.
Without existence, even in the ideation or mentation, he cannot utter a word about anything. It may not be physically available or mentally, in any form. For example, the shunyata, which is that absence, absolute absence. The word meaning of shunyata is absolute absence, which is being referred to by certain category of philosophers. They have something as an ideation or a mentation in their mind when they say it is shunyata. It may not be perceivable by the sense organs, but the internal sense organs of the individual who says that it's shunyata, for him, it is an idea, which for him he is giving a name as shunyata or absolute absence. The absolute absence, as per Advaita, can never exist because the existence can never be absence. So if somebody says that absolute absence is existing, that means the existence cannot be absolute absence, or the absolute absence cannot be existence. In only one of them can remain. And if somebody says that it is that, then he is referring to existence, but without name and form, invisible for the sense organs. In that case, if he is saying that is the absolute existence I am talking about, that is acceptable to the Advaita, because it is existence.
Okay, I got that point. Understood. Last question is if I forgot, so it can't be important.
Okay.
But stay up here, and if you think of it, you can come in later.
Yeah, sounds good, Dr. Michelle. Thank you.
Namaste, Venkat.
Hari Om. Karan, you can interrupt me anytime. Yeah, hi.
Yes.
Hi. Yeah, so Karan, with the option open, I'll start myself on this.
Please take your time.
I was, Yeah. So I'm looking at the verse 15. It addresses the existence. I now use the word existence and expression. The expression, like a tree, is of existence. It doesn't exist because underneath the, like a pot and potter, the pot, the material, the existence is that mud, without which the pot cannot be there. So the existence is established very well. Now, the material cause is addressed in this. The scope of the verse is that, but it leaves away the efficient cause. The efficient cause is not sort of addressed here. Now, I've been linking this to the next verse, 16, the knower. The knower, but it is looking at the knower as a, aham pratyaya, the knower of existence, knower of, all the manobuddhi, chitta, ahankara, all that is known by this sākṣī, vilakshana sākṣī. Way it is, it also knows the absence, because that knower always, undeletable. Even the shunya is known. Even the imagination is known. That atyanta abhava is also known. That's why this is most important. I was extending this knower, that efficient cause is from this knower. Because earlier the material cause of existence coming from that existence and expression, the mud and the pot. Now the efficient cause is coming from the knower, the ego, with all that, will to do is the efficient cause that addresses the material cause as well the efficient cause. I'm just inferring this, you can correct it. Then we can go to the, difference between atma pratyaya and aham pratyaya. There is two you used long back. Are these same in this verse? Atma pratyaya and aham pratyaya both are same equivocally, because you used aham pratyaya here. Okay, this is the second question.
Okay, to the first question, the efficient cause. Now, the efficient cause being separate from the material cause is what is seen in the case of a mud and the pot, because the mud by itself cannot become the pot. Therefore, we are seeing the efficient cause as the potter, who is the cause for the pot being turned out of the lump of mud. Here, it is saying ekaha sūkṣma. Therefore, when it is referring to the material cause, it is also referring to the efficient cause as the one and the same. Because that is why in the etayo, the word, when it is mentioned that sankalpa and ajnana, which is being referred as the two, as the effects. Now the effects of sankalpa and ajnana, which is now in the form of the world of objects, is the reason why we are seeing the multiplicity. But did ajnana and sankalpa become separate from the existence or the efficient cause? No. Because there is no separate efficient and material cause to become sankalpa or ajnana. So there is ajnana is, actually speaking, jnana bhava. And it cannot be a bhava vastu, like the material cause. Now sankalpa is that aspect of the mind where aham pratyaya is being felt by the individual, and therefore when it is said aham pratyaya, it is to include aham, mano, buddhi, ahankara, chitta, all the four. So in the mana there is the sankalpa, and the sankalpa with the non-apprehension or ajnana of the sat. Therefore, the world in the form of name and form are being projected. The world in the form of name and name and form are not separate from existence. like the lump of clay and the pot, it is nothing but existence. Existence is everything what we are experiencing, including my own experience of myself, that I exist, I am, aham. That is aham pratyaya. Now, in this case, what happens is that the word used is to indicate the feeling of the mind or the world being projected cannot be different from the aham pratyaya, which is seeing the I. That is why the aham pratyaya were the two words used. Actually, he should have used atma aham pratyaya. More that is saying aham pratyaya, atma pratyaya. We used it, atma also, as in the place of aham. When I am saying atmano, for the sake of atma, atmano mokshaya jagat hidaya cha. When we make the state that atma is referred as for the aham as atma. So when in the transactional world, the atma pratyaya and aham pratyaya are not different. But when we take it into the Mandukya Karika places, there the atma pratyaya is referring to the pure consciousness, which is nothing other than that prapanchopashamam. When the prapanchopashamam takes place, there is a atma pratyaya which is remaining, which do not talk about the aham there in the sushupti avastha. That one atma pratyaya is the one which comes up as aham pratyaya in the waking to say that aham sukham apswasam na kinchid avedisham. I am the one who slept very well and I knew nothing. That I, which is now being used by, that I is the same I which is in the aham pratyaya, which is the atma pratyaya in the where the I word cannot be used because he is not even knowing the existence of the I. So that is these two things to be understood very clearly. From Mandukya Karika point of view, there is aham pratyaya, atma pratyaya. But here in this vichara marga, we are not going to that deep level of aham pratyaya and atma pratyaya, but just as a transactional level where the I is used as for the transaction purpose. That is the difference between the two.
Yes, Pindaji, this is clear. Then the sākṣī used here is in the aham pratyaya category.
Yes.
Okay, I think that clears a lot. Now, I'm attributing the efficient cause to the aham pratyaya more. I know existence, potter, pot, all that is existence driven. Perfectly perfect. Functionally, potter, the efficient cause, more attributed to the aham pratyaya. Is that the fair alignment?
See, I won't, at this level, I won't bring the difference between the efficient cause and the material cause, Venkat. We are going into a much deeper aspects when we split it into the difference of material cause and efficient cause, etc. So here is this is the primary text, so we need to not get into that depth here.
Okay, Vinodji, I think this vichara killed it, kicking it, all of it.
Yes.
So, because the subtle level in the mind, in the presence of that existence, the thought and thought process is easily available. That easily attributed to the existence. In the visible world, material world, then this broader question come up, because there are two levels of vichara. One is one within the screen of the inner world, I call it, and one in the screen of the outer world. The same vichara has two connotations. That is why I was trying to reconcile these two, especially the external world. The efficient cause I was trying to reconcile. That's why the question come up. We'll wait for future classes.
Okay. Thank you, Venkat.
Thank you, Vinodji.
Karin, did you remember the question?
Nope.
Okay, fine. You can ask anytime. Any class you can ask the question.
Thank you.
So,
Anybody else?
hmm.
I don't think anybody else is there. Admission.
I think that the hand raising was closed, so we could end timely. But very, very good. And thank you, Venkat. It's a topic that you've been bringing up for a couple of years, one way or another. So on Sunday, we could certainly, if people want to, talk about this, like Binduji said, this primary text at a deeper level. Even the way the word cause is used when you were responding to Karen has some implications that could be incorrect, I think. But mostly just it's wonderful to hear your voice here again, Binduji. After you asked me to watch my mic, there were no other problems with the audio. When we could hear you, it was very clear, so that's very good. For everybody to know that Wednesdays and Fridays, so 2 days from now, 8:30 p.m. IST, 11 a.m. Eastern, we'll continue this text. You're welcome to download it from the Dropbox. You do not have to have Dropbox. Just look carefully on your screen and it'll show you a way to just grab the PDF. And then on Sunday, a more general open discussion if people would like to tie Advaita into any of their other concerns right now. So again, the Advaita Retold is available in the chat. That's the YouTube channel for Binduji, which has very many of his classes, even that are not in this house. And here's probably the best place for the open discussion recordings right now. And I think with that, Prakash, did you have anything, or should we let Bindu close us out?
Yeah, just a heartfelt thank you to Binduji and for everyone for having come up and asked questions and participated sitting in the audience. So thank you and see you on Friday. Over to Binduji.
Bindu, you're muted.
Yes, yeah.
Thank you, Atmisha. Thank you, Prakash. Thank you, Karin and Venkat, for your questions. Wish you all a happy vichara of what we discussed today and the last 6 verses, so that we can find out what stops us from realizing ourselves or our true nature from the understanding what is Ajnana, which we'll start on from Friday onwards. I'll be back to my hometown and before the next class. So from Friday class onwards, we'll follow the same routine again. Wednesday, Friday and Sunday, same time. As Artemisia said, Sunday will be for open discussions. Thank you all. Hari Om. See you on Friday. Good night.
Good night, Binduji. Hari Om.
Hi.
Hari Om. Good night.